Hello, teachers and directors specifically. Today I am going to tell you about this little project I do. So I've directed Challenge B for 3 years now, so it'll be my 4th year. And I have put together this note-taking study book, this brain book, and it is in a 3-ring binder. And I'm going to go through today and walk you through what I do and how I do it and look at all that. You guys, I love organizing. So this has been a lot of fun, and it has been 4 years in the making, but I'm really excited about it. I love what I'm doing here, so I'm going to share it with you guys. And then I have put together a bundle. If you go to my Classful account, which I can link also, you can get all of the worksheets and copy charts and everything that I'm going to go over in this brain book all in one downloadable bundle. So you can download all of that as well. I'm going to have all the vocab charts there for everyone who's been asking for those as a part of my daily lesson plan. So if you haven't seen that video, you're going to want to check that out for my daily lesson plans for Challenge B. And so I've got all the Latin charts there that you can download for free. I'm giving those away for free. And then this brain book system, I'm going to have all of this, which will be all the Latin charts plus everything else that I put in there and a couple of things that I've hand created myself. So, all right, if we haven't met before, then hi, my name is Erica Lynn and I am a homeschooling mom. I have 4 kids and I have been teaching them for the last 10 years. We've used classical approach to school, and we've been using My Father's World and Classical Conversations as our main curriculums. It's my goal to help homeschooling become easy for you too. And so I've taken all my tips and tricks and hacks that I've learned over the years, and I'm throwing them into videos to try to help other people gain the experience that I've had. Please like and subscribe to this video and to my channel and ring the bell to support me, and let's dive in. Okay, so I flipped you around so you can see from my viewpoint as well. So I just use 3-ring binders because I find there's a lot of printables that I want to use throughout the year for Challenge B. And so I can just print them, hole punch them, and hand them out to the students to add to their folder throughout the year. Let me see. Okay, first of all, I try to pick 12 different colors. So I typically order these off Amazon, and that way every student has a different color so that we're not confused on whose binder is whose. Now, in the front part of this binder, I put a couple of things. I like to use this all about me. Mostly, I mean, I get to know the student a little bit, but mostly I like to look at, what's their favorite food? What's their favorite sport, and I use that information for gifts. So I like to give away like candy as prizes for games in class. I also like to give away those water bottle decal stickers, and what I have let them do is they can cover their notebooks with them throughout the year. So every time they win a game, they can cover their notebook, and by the end of the year, they've got it completely personalized. But then it lets me know a little bit more about them as well. I also stick in here my Challenge B director kind of overview for the year. So I go over this at the parent meeting, parent orientation, and the parents get to pick out what color of brain book they want for their students. So I give this to them at the parent orientation, but you could certainly give it to them the first day of class too. So I've got that orientation guide, and then I also have my meeting notes for what I'm going to go over during the parent orientation as I break out each strand. All right, then I have some stuff for the students in here. So all of this, I have the students fill this out and give it back to me the first day of class. These 2 are for the parents, so those are all removed. Next, I have a math vocabulary from the Saxon 1-2, which is the pre-algebra level, and it has all the vocabulary terms for the entire year, and I print this off, and we use this to play math vocab games throughout the year. So this way the students can start memorizing and working on some of those vocab terms. Behind that, I have their presentation evaluation form, and this is one I created myself. So I will have this in the bundle. It's probably the only place you can get it as of right now. But this goes over all the components that I want them to be working on all of their presentations. So I will use this when I evaluate them for their LTW papers they present, for their research papers they present, and also it's the basic skills we go over when we're preparing for mock trial. And we kind of like the middle is what you're going for, like volume. You want to have a pleasant volume. You don't want to be too quiet and you don't want to be too loud. So that's kind of how I have it set up. And oh, I'm sorry. And I have this here. It's not in the binder because each day when they do their presentations, they pull this out and they hand it to me, and I use a dry erase marker to mark on it. And then I hand it back to the student discreetly so that only them and I know how I rated them for everything. Okay, and then we have part of the Challenge B guide here. So I disassemble, actually I have the parents do it during the parent orientation meeting, and we kind of break the guide apart. This portion right here is what the parents need to read over. That is for them, okay? So I take pages, everything in the front of the guide up into the snapshot and the weekly lesson plans I pull out. I put the snapshot and the lesson plans in here, so I'll show you where that goes here under this guide tab. And then everything behind that I pull out as they dive into each strand a little bit deeper. I pull those out for the parents. Now, you will find there's some extra information in the back of the guide that is important for the students to have. So I tell the parents to set that aside and put it into each of these tabs, and I'll walk you through that as well. Okay, so the first thing I have here is our devotions. For first semester, we read through the entire book of James. And so I will include this handout in our brain book in case you want to use that. But of course, you can pick whatever you want to do for devotions. So I just have that in the front so they can see our weekly schedule in case they forget which chapter and verses they're reading each week. I have them use the highlighting system to highlight it each day. And then we discuss that in class each morning. Then I have the guide here for them. And so the snapshot starts on page 32. And so we have all the way through second semester, week 15, which is page 121. And it has each of the lesson plans. I like this here in their brain book because I will have the student turn to it during class sometimes, and I will kind of correct or edit some things. Like if we're going to do something in class, I might have a mark, don't do that at home, or I might have them add something else to it, and I'll have them write it right there on their guide and their lesson plan so that they don't forget. Okay, so all of that is the guide section here. And then I break down each of these tabs by strand. I put these in the order that we cover them in class, and some years I've even written the time on the tab that we're going to start each of the strands. I do like writing the time. I decided not to this year because I do my strands in one order in time first semester, and then I switch second semester, and I thought that might be confusing for them. So this is the order of first semester, how we're going to cover them. So I like to do exposition first, and I just have some notebook paper in here. This is for taking notes in class. So one of the things I like to teach the students is one system for note taking, and this is how we have it separated out by class. That way when they go to do their homework at home, if they have a question, they can go back to that strand and they can see it in their notebook easily. So this is for note taking in class. Then I include a couple of handouts here. How to Read Literature Like a Professor. If you have not read this book, I totally recommend it. It changed my world. And they have a children's version. I even recommend reading just the children's version because the adult version is can be R-rated a little bit. But this is from the children's version. I have just gone through and created little notes about all the different things. There's 16 topics that they cover on what to look for when reading your novels. And so I asked my students to read over this before the first week of class. Then that way we can dive into our novel discussions at a deeper level. Then we do Socratic Circle discussions for exposition some weeks. And so this is a little 3-page handout on what it means to participate in the Socratic Circle. And then behind that, there's a couple of pages from the appendix that are helpful. So I told them to pull out pages 173 through 178 and put them in the exposition tab. This is how to highlight, which I will discuss with the student, and we will highlight some of these on here, and also the formatting guidelines for short story. So these are pages that they're going to want to reference throughout the year, so I want them handy. Our next strand is grammar, and again I have some paper for note taking, and then I like to print out this pronunciation guide just so that they have it handy, but that's all I have here in the grammar tab. Our third strand we'll cover is reasoning. And again, I have notebook paper for them. And then there's only one page from the appendix, page 165, that I asked them to pull out here. This is the sheet that they will be copying over Christmas break. All right, our next strand is logic. I just have some paper here. This is for when they do their problem presentation in class. And I don't have any other handouts because my vocab that I use, I have it here. And I don't hole punch this because I want them to be able to take it out and hold it for studying. And also, if I punch holes, it cuts off some of the words. You can see the words are really close to the edges. And so I don't want it to cut off some of those vocab words. So we just leave that in the front. Okay, my next strand is research. Again, some notebook paper. And then I like to print off these pre-made timeline cards. Somebody else made these, but I'll include that in the bundle so you can easily download it. I like these to cut out and print off because it streamlines the timeline process for us. Because I have 12 students in my class, I don't have enough time to have them read all their research papers and to practice and study the timeline. So we just focus on them reading their research papers, and we create the timeline in class, but I allow that to be up to the parents and the student as to whether they're actually going to memorize it. So this just speeds up the process for me because I don't have enough time in class to really go over it thoroughly. Now, for research, there's a lot of appendix pages that are helpful. So we pulled pages 143 through 164, okay? All of these pages go in here because this is all of the astronomer detailed information. And so each week in class, I'll point the student back here and explain what they're required to do. And then we have our shoebox information. And then for second semester, we have our Adopt an Element project. So all of that information is in there and ready at their disposal. Next, we have our debate strand, which is our last one. And I have some notebook paper in here. And then I do have them pull out a section from the appendix for debate, pages 185 to 192. This covers the mock trial reading list and how to do your Annie chart and how to do your opening and closing. I find those to be really helpful. Finally, I have one last tab, and I write this for mock trial. So when they get to second semester, they can file their mock trial notebook behind this binder. That way it's right here with all of their notes and they've got it close together. Okay, behind all of these, I have our copy charts that I'm going to use for the year, okay? This is our Latin nouns. I have the blank on the front and the answers on the back. And our Latin adjectives, Latin pronouns, and then our Latin verbs. There's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 conjugations plus the I stem conjugation. So I've got 3 different pages front and back of the Latin verbs, and this is where they can copy it. Although the spaces are a little bit small, so I just tell them if they do want to copy it on notebook paper, that's fine also. Okay, and I put those in this order because that's mostly the order that the book covers them in. And so, the first few weeks we're copying our nouns chart, and then we're going to copy our adjectives chart, then our pronouns, and then our verbs, we do just sections at a time. They'll just be studying sections at a time as we go through here. Then I have my square of opposition chart filled in and blank for them to study. And I have the periodic table of the first 20 elements and have that filled in for them to study second semester as well. Now, the only thing I haven't showed you is how I do the timeline. Typically, this goes in the very back of the folder because it's so big. I don't want it to block so you can't view the things behind it. I'm going to show you mine because it's a finished product. And so the students would be blank. It will just have a black line across it with each of the years, okay? But this is essentially how we glue the timeline pictures of each astronomer in here. And then also this information I wrote in is from the timeline week when they are studying, who is it? I think it's Edwin Hubble that they do, and they do a timeline for him. And so each of the items that were supposed to be on the timeline, I went ahead and wrote into the overall astronomy timeline so we could see their placement here. So this is how I do the timeline. I keep it very simple. There are lots of cool methods you could do, but because I have always had classes of 12 students, we run out of time to be able to do some of those fancier, more elaborate projects. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope that's helpful to you, especially as new directors, maybe give you some inspiration for what you could do. Making a brain book is not mandatory. And so this is a great way to just teach the students some extra study skills and organizational skills, which they're probably ready for now that they've kind of wrapped their head around Challenge A before they go to high school. So that way next year in Challenge 1, they have some ideas of how they might like to kind of handle things. And so if you have any questions, pop them in the comments and I will try to respond to all of those. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please put a heart in the comments if you made it all the way to the end. That lets me know you watched it all. I love that so much. If you liked this video about how I organize the brain books, you should probably check out one of these videos. I've got one on, I have a breakdown of the entire LTW curriculum and how we teach that, which has been really helpful for a lot of people. I also have a video here about how I tab and organize our Latin books from front to back. And so dividing that up, and the Latin books tabs match the copy charts that you've seen here. So they match like the colors of the verb declensions that are the same colors in the copy charts, as well as the noun declensions. We tab those to match the declensions in the copy chart. So for those of you who may have students that are more, is it right-brained that is creative, students that are more right-brained or might tend to be like dyslexic, that color coordination can help a lot. I've got one child who's slightly dyslexic, and I know that when we go through and we highlight her books and bring some color into it, it helps her eyes not get so like crazy fuzzy. It helps to connect the dots in her brain. So we've done our Latin book highlighted and tabbed to match those charts. So you can check those out here. I hope you all have a blessed day and good luck on your Challenge B journey.